The Beer O'Clock Show with Steve and Mark. Episode 2, Greene King IPA. Hello and welcome to episode 2 of The Beer O'Clock Show. My name is Mark, and joining me from the wooded glen of somewhere in Kent is Steve. G'day, Steve.
Somewhere in Kent. Do you mean Essex?
Essex?
Yeah.
Is it Essex you live in? Oh, yes, of course it is. It's got the swords and stuff on the side.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Kent
Essex.
is south of the river, isn't it?
Yeah.
My geography is shit. Good evening. Oh,
Have you actually started drinking yet?
No, not yet. For those who have not listened to us before, the Beer O'Clock Show is basically, I'm a beer noob. Steve is a beer. I keep want to call you. You're a beer expert in my eyes, Steve. Whether you want to be labelled as such or not. And every week, Steve's going to explain to me what I should be liking about the beer we're drinking, how to drink it, what I should be tasting, and laughing me as I get slightly tipsy over the course of half an hour. This week's drink is Greene King IPA, which is a handcrafted India Pale Ale. So, Steve, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you very much. It's been an interesting few days,
Yes.
to say the least.
Just pouring this ale out now.
Certainly been enjoying the range of sports that's been available on the telly.
Yeah, the
over
Olympics
last
started on
couple of days.
Friday.
Yeah.
We were both watching it and tweeting about it on the Friday night. It was a good show, wasn't it?
It was amazing, I think, to say the least. I think it was a very good show, very well done, very put together very well, and I think it really showcased what was the best of British. So I've since had to watch it again with the kids because they weren't allowed up to see it on Friday night, so I've had to sit through it again. But even the second time, it's just as good. Really, that opening segment where it turned from the grassy fields into the Industrial Revolution was quite breathtaking, really.
Indeed. I'll admit that I've watched it twice as well. Because the missus was working, so she missed the first half, so we watched the Brunel sequence again. Yeah, it was awe-inspiring.
Yes.
Say that they managed to do that just within basically a football field. They did all that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my mum was lucky enough to have gone to one of the technical rehearsals, so she was kind of telling me, she didn't really give anything away, but she said, "You're in for a real treat. It's pretty spectacular."
Yeah.
So and she said that it's quite nice to then actually having been there and seen them practicing to do it, or it was quite nice to then watch it on the telly.
Yep.
And see the bits that maybe she missed.
As I said at the beginning, this week's beer is the Greene King IPA. Now, this is another Suffolk beer, isn't it, Steve? Is it Bury St Edmunds this is from?
Yeah, Greene King, based in Bury St Edmunds.
Right, and I apologise for the idiotic question, but Greene King also own a bunch of pubs, don't they?
They do, yeah. They're quite a strong brand, Greene King. So yeah, there's certainly the local in the village here is a Greene King pub. Mm-hmm. I would have thought they have quite a few again in the region, and probably quite a few spread out as well.
Explain to me what an India Pale Ale is, because I think this is the first IPA I've ever drunk.
It's quite interesting actually, because it's a term that was first kind of coined back in the 19th century, which was just a form of ale that was being brewed. It was pale ale at the time, and essentially what happened was they started brewing the ale, and they found that there was a demand for it in the colonies. Mm-hmm. So obviously out in India and that sort of thing. But the problem was that it was actually the time that it took to get the beer from this country to India. The beer would lose its taste and it'd lose its flavour and it'd go off a little bit. And that they found one of the ways of counteracting that was to use more hops in the brewing process. as almost to try and preserve the beer.
Right.
And basically, what that then led to was a I suppose a style of beer that became known as India Pale Ale, which would generally have a much hoppier, stronger flavour to it. It'd be a much higher percentage and would be much more refreshing as well when it finally made its way to its destination. So that's the IPA in its traditional sense. It's making a bit of resurgence again. I think we mentioned last week about the craft beer revolution that's going on. IPAs are making a bit of a resurgence as part of that in Britain now, and there's also a very strong culture of brewing IPA in America as well under their craft beer revolution that's going on under there as well.
Yeah, I've seen a few American breweries doing IPAs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The American ones tend to be big, bold, strong beers, really high in percentage, really hoppy. It's just the style that it's taken on in America. So that's generally, from what I understand and from the little bit of research and knowledge that I have on the subject, that's what I understand a IPA to be. I'm sure if people disagree with that, they'll let us know, and maybe we can build a bit more of a stronger history as to what an IPA is.
Yeah, and talking again about foreign IPAs, the Australian brewery Cooper's does an IPA, but I think it's only a home brew mix that they put out, so that's interesting. Yeah, so how would you rate generally the Greene King IPA? Because we had a comment, because we mentioned on Twitter and on the show last week that Greene King IPA was going to be our drink this week, and one of our listeners, Alistair from Scotland, said, don't drink Greene King IPA, it's boke, which I believe is a Scottish term for sickly or something along those lines.
I was wondering what it meant. I just went along like I knew. So.
Yeah. I mean, it tastes all right to me. But
it's interesting. I mean, I wouldn't class this as being an IPA. Really, I think that the Greene King IPA, in my mind, one of the problems with is there's so many different variations of it that you don't actually know what its style is because it's morphed into so many different styles. So, for example, you've got the one that we're drinking tonight, which is the bottled version. You can get it in cans as well. There's about 3 different versions of it in bottles. So we've got the standard IPA. You can get a golden IPA. You can get a reserve IPA. You can get a very special IPA. And then when you see it in a pub as well, it's a beer that comes in 2 versions in a pub as well. So again, I mentioned last week the difference between how Northerners and Southerners like their beer.
yeah.
Well, Greene King have really embraced that, and they've actually got a tap on their pumps in pubs that will allow you to serve the beer Northern or Southern,
Right.
dependent on how you have the tap. So if you're serving it in the Southern style, you're serving it in a way that's a lot cleaner. It's a lot crisper. There's more of a head that stays with it. Whereas if you serve it in the northern way, it's smoother and it's creamier and it's got a much lighter head. So I think it's a beer that quite possibly is struggling with its own identity in terms of what it's actually trying to be, because there are so many variations of it. So I've got to admit, I'm not a great fan of it. It's not a beer I would go out of my way to buy, but I thought it would be, again, from your perspective, a good introduction to the world of beers, because it's quite an easy drinker. Again, I think
It is. It's compared to the bitter we had last week. It wasn't as much of a shock that first sip.
Yes.
No, but like you're saying, it's certainly drinkable, I think.
I think it's quite well balanced in terms of it's it's fairly, it's not a heavy drink. It's medium bodied. It's quite light. It's quite easy to drink. It's quite fresh as well in what it tastes like, and it it gives quite a refreshing, leaves a refreshing sort of linger on the palate, really.
Hmm.
Um, but as I say, I'm still not a massive fan of it. The things we do for our art.
Indeed. So tell me what you've been drinking lately, because you went up to Southwold on the weekend
Yes.
to visit the fine folk at Adnams.
Yep. Went to do the brewery tour at Adnams, so actually got first hand to taste some of the malts that they use in their beers. It's just like eating cereal, really, to get an idea of the flavours that they use, and also got a good lesson in terms of the different hops that they use for their drinks as well.
Yep.
And the way that they use them. Saw their brewing process, heard all about their brewing process, and then had quite a decent tasting session after as well, back in their bar. So I would highly recommend, if anybody is in the region of Southwold, going to do the tour. It's a tenner. You get an hour's tour of their facility, and then I'd say we probably got to taste 5 or 6 of their beers at the end of it. Not full pints. It was quite literally, just a taste, but
Yeah.
still got to have a taste of it.
Were these beers that you knew already, that you had a taste of?
Yeah, they were essentially the stable Adnams range. So they gave us the bitter that we tried last week, the Southwold bitter, Gun Hill, Broadside. They gave us some Explorer, and then finished us off with some Innovation, which is one of their, I wouldn't say newer beers, but it's one of the ones that you can only buy from their shops. So it's about a 6.8% beer, and brewed in the IPA style, so quite heavy on the flavours. And they gave us some of that to almost finish us off, I think. And then went for a little wander around the town, and tried some of their Flame Runner, again their Olympic brewed beer, a couple of pints of Ghost Ship, and a couple of pints of their lager type beer, which is Spindrift, which seemed to be available in every pub in Southwold's on tap, which was quite literally the greatest thing I've ever seen, because it's nice enough out of the bottle, but off tap it was just as smooth as you like. It was probably one of the nicest pints I've ever tasted.
Nice.
So yeah, quite a lot of booze over the weekend, and then found ourselves on the Greene in Southwold watching a random local music festival on Saturday night, which was not one of the finest musical moments that I've ever seen, but it was a Saturday night out.
Very good. And you didn't drive home, did you, Stephen?
No. Stayed overnight. Stayed overnight on Saturday, and then came home on Sunday.
Oh, you're a wise man.
Yes,
Yeah,
indeed.
you're a good boy. So what else have you had in the last week or so that might be of interest to our listeners? Did you have an innocent gun last week?
Oh, I did. Yes, I had. I had 2 bottles of Innocent Gun to accompany the opening ceremony on Friday night. I had a bottle of their Canada Day 2012,
Yeah.
and a bottle of their Independence Day 2012. And again, Innocent Gun will brew these beers specially each year for these occasions, because they've got quite strong links to Canada and America and the market out there. So they'll put together these limited edition beers that they'll release. So yeah, had both those on Friday night.
Oh, very good. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the big beers up there in the 7.5% range. So it quite literally took me the length of the opening ceremony to get through them. So I didn't want to rush them. I didn't want to rush them. I wanted to savour the flavour.
Yeah, because again, our listener Alistair suggested Innocent Gun as one of the breweries that we should try sometime. What were the other ones that he suggested? Anything from Black Isle Beer and West Beer. I don't think that's the actual name of the Black Isle Brew Company. who are in the Highlands. It must be up Innisfail way. And West Brewery is the other one. Yeah, so yeah, he suggested Black Isle and West Brewery, and Innocent Gun, which you tried. I stuck with the Suffolk and had a Adnams Explorer on the Friday night, and yeah, that was nice enough. It was a nice light one.
I was going to say, how did you find it?
Yeah, it was nice. Comes out very golden.
Yes,
coloured,
yeah.
Very light coloured, which surprised me. But no, I would like to say it's an easy beer, like I actually know what I'm talking about, but it went down very easily, I have to say.
It is quite an easy beer. I think if my memory serves me correctly, that's the one that they've brewed with. That they combine British and American hops in that one, so there's a bit of you get your American beer, craft beer flavour, but you've also got your British beeriness to it as well. So it's a nice combination of the two.
Oh, and we did have a exchange with. I think we mentioned last week about having a stout week. Did we?
Yeah,
we had mention of it on Twitter anyway, because Andy, one of our listeners, was saying... Where was he saying it? Sorry, I'm on Twitter now trying to find where he was saying.
Didn't he suggest a stout month?
Caffrey's over Guinness is his opinion.
Is that how you took that tweet? Or because I looked at that and I thought, was he maybe suggesting Caffrey's and then Guinness? As in, try Caffrey's first before moving on to Guinness, because Caffrey's isn't a stout.
Is it not? See, this shows how much I don't know.
No,
because when I see the greater than sign, I consider it being Caffrey's is better than Guinness.
Right. Okay. Maybe Andy can clear that up for us this week and let us know exactly what he was getting at there.
So what is Caffrey's?
Caffrey's is it's an Irish ale. I don't know how Irish.
Oh,
it is.
Maybe he was comparing Irish drinks then.
Yeah, that's when Caffrey's first came out. It was almost akin. It was almost the bitter version to Stella. It was quite a strong beer. That could quite literally send you loopy if you had too many of them, and they removed it and repackaged it slightly, and much like Stella had, I think they brought it back out at about 4% now.
Right.
So, but it's a really smooth, easy beer to drink, but it's quite thick at the same time, and that's why I looked at that particular tweet and thought there was a suggestion that try Caffrey's and then Guinness.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it was just a suggestion that we go for an Irish theme.
Could be. There is another Irish stout that the Corkies prefer over Guinness.
Is it Murphy's?
Might be Murphy's, but apparently it's what they drink in Cork instead of Guinness. I don't know. I'll have to double check with her.
It might be Murphy's.
But we've got an entire United Kingdom to explore, Stephen.
Indeed we have.
The next few weeks are taken up with Suffolk.
That's only because I'm easing you in.
Yeah. But our listeners can make suggestions of what they want us to drink next. Again, Alistair was saying we have to try the rum cask and Innocent Gun so everyone can laugh at me. I'm assuming that would put me on my arse quite seriously. But
yeah, you might only want half of that bottle.
Yeah.
It's only a small bottle anyway, but you might only want a small glass of that.
But you can make your suggestions on Twitter at Beer O'Clock Show. You can message us there, or you can email us at beeroclockshow@gmail.com, or visit the website at beeroclockshow.co.uk and comment on the entry of your choice. That's also where you can subscribe to the podcast as well. But yeah, I'm slowly making my way through this Greene King. I actually don't like it as much as I liked the bitter last week. There's not much.
No.
I mean, again,
it's not a nice beer.
One of our Twitter followers was saying that he leaves his beer out. No, you were saying that you leave it out for half an hour to take the chill off.
Yeah.
One of
I,
our
I
followers,
think
one of our followers was saying he can't drink the Southwold bitter too cold because it takes the flavour out. So I actually left this out for a little while before we started recording, just to take the chill off. And there's not much there, is there? To it
there's
really.
there's not a lot there. There's not a lot of flavour in it. Like I say, it's a beer that I'll only drink if I've got no other choice.
Yeah.
We went camping a few weeks back, and all the campsite had was Greene King on tap in its various forms. And you went into the shop, and it was cans of Greene King, and I was like, well, I guess I'm drinking Greene King this weekend then. And when needs must,
Indeed.
you know, um, you drink it. But as I say, it's not one that I would go out of my way to drink.
So, what is an IPA that you would recommend? What's your favourite IPA?
Well, Adnams did one called American IPA, which was a limited edition bottling of the brew. It's part of a series they're doing of world beers, and that was absolutely awesome. It was really strong flavours, really bold flavours in it. Again, a really high percentage. That would probably be up there as one of the favourite ones that I've drunk. I can't really think of too many others that I've done recently. They're beers that they're not really what you would put down as a session beer, an IPA, because they're quite big on the flavours.
Mm-hmm.
And another one, there's a small batch brewery just in Bermondsey, I think they're based, called the Colonel Brewery. That they do a really nice range of IPAs as well. But again, very very strong beers that they are. But again, so tasty, so flavoursome
Yeah.
that you can't help but drink them. But again, you wouldn't really want really any more than 2 or 3.
So, what other beers does Greene King put out that you like, or is it a brewery you tend to avoid if there's other options?
I think, yeah, probably the latter. I'll probably avoid them if there's other options. I can't actually at this moment think of any other beers that they put out other than the IPA range.
Mm-hmm.
That they had a celebratory ale out earlier this year for the Diamond Jubilee called Celebration Ale or something like that. That was okay. I had a pint of that. But as I say, I can't at this moment think of anything else that appears in their range.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned last week that somehow I think they're linked to the Moreland Brewery as well, which is also based in Bury, and Moreland do your old golden hen, your old speckled hen, those sorts of beers. And given the choice of the two, I would choose the Moreland beers over the Greene Kings. Yeah, it's kind of all fizz, no flavour.
Yeah.
Really.
Not much fizz to it, anyway. Oh, I had a question for you. That came to me while I was wandering the aisles of Sainsbury's tonight.
Okay.
This is going to be a question that will probably make any hardened beer drinker listening to this roll his eyes, but it's something that popped in my head. John Smith's.
Yes.
Is that a lager or is it a beer?
It's a bitter, which puts it on the beer side, but it's a commercially available beer, so it's probably rated about as high as Carlsberg in a lot of beer drinkers' minds.
Because Peter Kay did the commercials for that, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, which is how I know of it.
Yeah, it's useless fact of the week. It's the bitter alternative that's available at all of the Olympic venues.
All right.
But because John Smith's isn't one of the brands associated with the Olympics, it's not called John Smith's Bitter. I think it's being sold as English beer or English bitter. Because the world's that stupid. Have a pint of English beer. But yeah,
Then they'll go home saying how English beer tastes like piss.
yeah, basically. um, because I think the official beer is Heineken, or the
Oh
official
God.
beer provider is Heineken, and I think they are somehow involved with the brewing of John Smith's.
Oh right. So what's an English lager? What's the company puts? Because I'm thinking
Foster's.
apart from Foster's, because I'm thinking Stella Artois isn't English, is it?
No, Stella Artois French.
Kronenberg isn't English. Is Carlsberg English?
No, it's supposedly Dutch.
Oh right. Heineken's American, is it? Or is that Dutch?
No, German.
German.
I think, yeah.
Budweiser's American.
Bud's American.
Carling.
Carlin is an English lager.
Oh, there you go.
It prides itself on two things: one being English and two being shit.
How does it compare to Tuborg?
Yeah. Actually, I would probably rather drink Carlin than I would Tuborg or.
A little funny fact for the listeners who don't know us, which won't be very many of you, but Steve and I, along with some friends, went to a festival in June, and until the second day, I think, when you realised I was also selling ale, Tuborg was the only option available to you, wasn't it?
It was, and I refused to drink it.
So you're a bit miserable.
Yeah. I think there was that moment when we stood there watching one of the bands where a guy walked past with about
That's
8
right.
pints of what was obviously not Tuborg, and I remember just running off after him
the
down
last
the
we
hill.
saw of you was your hat bobbing through the crowd. We're going, where's he going?
I just needed to find out where that man got real beer. And it was good beer as well.
It was right over in the far corner of the field, wasn't it? You had to go and buy
It
so
was
you had to walk like half a mile to get.
quite literally the furthest place from anywhere in the arena. Yeah. But worth it. It was a good beer. Enjoyed that one. That was called Otter Ale, which was first time I've come across that one, but nice, easy to drink. Good English beer, that one.
Very good. And we're back there again next year, so Tuborg.
Indeed we are.
Tuborg. So, because I'll be a beer drinker by then, so hopefully they'll have some ale splashing about, so we can be the experts together.
Yes, we can.
Right, so yeah, I don't have much of this so-called drink left, so let's wind up the show. Again, you can contact us via email at beeroclockshow@gmail.com. Website is beeroclockshow.co.uk. We're not on iTunes yet, but we will be shortly. I need to put some cover art together before I can submit it. I think they will reject the podcast without cover art. But you can subscribe to the podcast via the website. And you can hit us up on Twitter, which is probably the best place to get us, at Beer O'Clock Show. You can message Steve directly at Mental Bentos, or me at Roku, ROKKU. And we'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to hear your recommendations for beers to drink, especially ones that aren't local to London. Preferably in the UK, because Steve has bad memories of European beers. Or any American beers that are available in the UK. They have to be available in the UK, because otherwise we're buggered.
I think we need to find you a supplier close to home where you can go to. Somewhere that does a decent range of decent beers.
Yeah, or people can start sending us care packages. We'll happily accept them as well. Email us for delivery information.
Yeah, that goes to any of the brewers that are following us on Twitter.
Yes, care packages are welcome.
Yes, yeah. Just get in touch and let us know what you want to send us, and we'll be happy to try it for you.
And as you can tell by the end of the show, I'm loving anything I'm drinking, so it all goes to my head. So it'll all be good. Yeah, there's a place up near. It's north of Cambridge somewhere. It's one of these beer warehouse type places. That might be worth taking a drive to next time we go up to Bev's parents. Go out.
Oh, is that the Beers of Europe?
Yeah.
Place? Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah?
In there. It is absolutely amazing.
Have they got a good range of stuff then?
Ever so slightly, yeah. Imagine I don't know how am I going to picture this. I don't know how big your local Sainsbury's is, but imagine your local Sainsbury's but stocked with nothing but beer.
Right.
That's essentially what this place is. It's a warehouse with beer down every single aisle. It's just like utopia.
Next week we're going to be drinking the beer that Steve mentioned earlier, which is Old Golden Hen, which is a Morley, did you say?
It's a Moreland.
Moreland.
Yeah, Moreland Brewery. The first, I think it'll be our first golden ale that we'll be trying. So a lot more lager like for your perspective, Mark.
Yes. I'm looking forward to it. It's been in my fridge for a few weeks now. Thanks very much for listening. Thanks, Steve, for joining me again.
You're very welcome.
Looking forward to our chat next week.
Yep, can't wait.
Yep. Chin chin.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.